Beginning of the tutorial. Open the fabric lining kit that needs to be ironed into the fabric. There are two different shapes of fabric lining and double-sided tape. The thickness is double-sided tape. The wide ones are cloth-lined. The big ones are squares, not divided into directions. Prepare a fabric slightly larger than the fabric lining. If you use fabrics like silkwood and brocade, must be pre-shrunk first. Cut the fabric after pre-shrinking. Cover it with a thin cotton cloth. Set the iron to silk. Iron at the speed of the video. Iron with steam, but don't leave it on for a long time. The fabric will be noticeably smaller after ironing. The rubberized side is grainy. The adhesive side overlaps completely with the thin double-sided tape. Align the back of the fabric with the adhesive side. This piece is square and not oriented, but the other piece should follow this shape. If the fabric is oriented, you need to pay attention, too. Use an iron with 2 kilowatts of power and set the temperature to silk. A more powerful iron must be used. Silk, second level of temperature. Cover with a piece of thin cotton cloth and gently cover to avoid displacement. Press and iron from the center to all sides. Follow the speed of the video and iron roughly first. And then iron it carefully in every place. A few seconds at each location. Iron with a little bit of downward pressure. Let the glue melt. Remove the cloth and wait for it to cool. Completely cooled. Take these two pieces and compare them separately. The fabric linings are all slightly larger. Cut to the shape of the fabric lining first. Iron the body piece first. The rubberized surface of the back body is a little reflective. It's frosted to the touch. The non-adhesive side is reticulated. The rubber side can be clearly seen reflecting when you look at it sideways. Gluing the back of the fabric aligned with the iron fabric. Hold it in both hands and turn it over to the front. Make sure it hasn't shifted. Then carefully cover with a thin layer of cotton cloth. Ironing with a 2 kilowatt power iron. Set to silk. Press from the center to the sides. Press and iron at the speed of the video. Once ironed, gently push to one side to prepare for ironing the other piece of the cover. Freshly iron this piece, flatten it with a book or other heavy object, and let it cool.
These holes are where the clasps are sewn. So the fabrics are laid out in this direction.
Adhesive side toward the back of the fabric. Hold it in both hands and turn it over to the front to iron. Here microfiber suede, not in direct contact with the iron. Be careful not to shift it every step. Iron from center to all sides. Follow the ironing speed in the video and press the iron down slightly harder. Don't leave out the edges and corners. Iron it well and let it cool with a heavy weight. After this piece cools down, you can bend it to check for any leakage of ironing. No problem, you can trim it to the shape of the bag. This side of the body is done. The cap has cooled. Again, check well. The edges here are just a little uniranked. It needs to be ironed. This position is also not ironed. It's cooled down in a few minutes. Check again that it's okay and you can trim it. Two pieces of bag body trimmed. First, install the magnetic clasp. The magnetic clasp is made up of two parts, one large and one small. Bend over this piece of leather to find the curve. Small magnetic clasp on the front of a small leather piece with a more rugged texture on the front. If you can't tell the difference between the leather side, you can compare it with an edging strip. Flatten the back pins with a tool. Next, attach the magnetic closure to the body of the bag. Bend to see the curve. Follow the incision and cut carefully with a wire remover or a knife. Be careful not to cut your hand. Magnetic clasp mounted on the front side. Next, sew the deep fasteners on the sides. This is what it looks like when it's sewn. Measure the line twice the length of the side leather piece. Let the side out through the debuckle. Look at the holes here. The right side is sewn up. The alignment of the edges needs attention. Sewing from the center.
Pull to half line length.
Now the front and back are sewn. Then the line at the bottom. The threads are on the back. Sew the deep buttons on both sides. Then take out the pieces of bag body. You can mark the big holes in the top. You can see better this way. Then sew up the body part. Take out the edging strips and the horns. The edging strips are pointed at both ends. Measure the line 5 times the length of the edging strip. The third hole here is the big one. The side leather pieces are thinner on one side. This side is thick. Thin side 细面四次, that's where the stitches are going to be now. 2 pieces facing each other. First stitch overlap 1 stitch reinforcement. The next stitch is the big hole, sewn together with an edging strip and a transparent tube. The clear tube is slightly below the first hole in the trim strip. Edge banding sandwiched in between. The left hand is responsible for tightening a line. Right hand suture. Reinforcement of the first stage of the edge banding. You have to be careful when sewing. The clear trib inside must be under the seam line. This will hold the clear trib in place. When sewing the curvature, the holes must be well aligned with each other. If you can't go through them all at once, it's okay to go through them in layers. Stitch to this big hole. And then it's aligned with the big hole in the side piece. You can check for yourself. If it's okay, go ahead and sew it down. The center point of the edging strip is also the large hole. The large holes in each layer of leather are just about able to line up. Sew up the remaining holes. Sewing to the other side, the first hole of the edge band is also aligned with the third hole of the wrap body. Cut off the excess clear tube. Transparent tube slightly below the first hole. Reinforcement with 1 stitch of overlap. Then you can cut the wires. A little glue in a disposable container. Handling of threads. Stick it on top of the threads. Keep away from the leather when you run out of glue, then turn it over to the front. Then check out the lining. Find the trim points. Work it out with a pen or cut a very small opening, as long as you can see it for yourself. Aligning the trim points. Take out the short edging strips. Measure 5 times the line of the edging strip. The body of the bag is secured with multiple clips. Hole-to-hole alignment. Make sure every stitch hits the lining. This section is still relatively simple to sew up. One thing to note is the splicing here. Here the front and inside pieces have been sewn together. Well, here's just as a whole. Because the two pieces have been put together. That's why it's treated as a single whole when it's sewn together. Either through the holes in the side pieces or through the holes in the front piece of the bag body. The holes in the splice locations go through only one. If you can't wear it all at once, pass through each in turn. The next hole is the midpoint of the edging strip. Two midpoints that line up exactly can be checked. The last few stitches can be closed with a single thread, and then back again. Try not to cut the thread in this last hole, because there's a long stretch of suture here. Both sides are sewn. Two needles overlap each other. One should true stitches breaks the thread. Sew the opening of the bag closed and secure the lining with clips. Then check out this pinch. These holes indicate that this side is the cover. Here's the back of the bag. Next, measure for chimes the line of the longest edging strip. The interface of the edging strip is placed in the center of the cover. Sew the clasp closed in the back to cover the interface. Start sewing from the center point. The final overlocking strip is overlapping a hole. Hole to hole must be aligned. Sew all the way to the front of the large hole on the side. This large hole connects the body of the bag. This is it. Then add the body of the bag. Follow this direction. One stitch overlap in splice position. Sew this position slower and align the holes. Tighten the wax line. Be sure to match the holes to the holes when you sew them together. Large hole in the center of the edging strip. Large, centered holes that align the sides and body of the bag. All the big holes correspond exactly. Stitch to this big hole, aligning the side pieces exactly with the first hole in the front piece. One stitch overlap in splice position. This is the same as the previous paragraph. It's all relatively simple. Sew to the end. This position just overlaps the hole.
Then sew on the clasp. Measure the line 7 times the width of the bag.
Count from the tip. The fifth hole into the needle. Sew in this direction. Sew it up to this point. Connects to the body of the bag. Poke a hole in the body of the bag. Then the line at the bottom of the clasp. Insert the needle through the poked hole. And that's how you attach the buckle's leather piece. Connection position overlap 1 stitch reinforcement. Sew to the tip. The reverse side is clearer. Finish sewing the right hole with any thread. Reverse it and keep stitching. This section is all single suture. Return to the original position, symmetrical to this side. Reinforcement with 1 stitch of overlap. And then only the first layer of leather goes through here. Sew to a point symmetrical to this starting point. Be careful not to pierce the fabric. Then measure a small amount of thread to sew the magnetic clasp. Thread the clasp first. Magnetic closure on the bottom. Pin buckle knot direction. There's a notch in the front. Magnetic clasp on the reverse side. About 30 centimeters of thread will do. Thread a needle. Left hand fixed wax line. Wrap around 2 stitches. Two stitches here, 2. Next, take care of the threads. The threads on the bag are also taken care of. Pierce with a pinhole. Then put the ring through the top 2 layers of leather. The interface goes inside. Three layers of leather sewn together. Cut the thread at the pointy end and finish the next hole with a single thread stitch. It's sewn on both sides. Reinforcement is coincident at this small V-angle position. It looks better this way. Finally, take care of all the threads on the body of the bag. The bag is finished. Then use small balls of paper or a small piece of cloth. Shove it in there a little bit at a time. Don't use the whole fabric. Stuff the bottom of the bag with curved spots to hold the bag up. Because the bag is small, the smaller the padding, the better the shaping. Fasten the shawl carrying handle and shoulder strap on both sides, and the bag is complete.